Hey guys, it's Screamods today with another tutorial for DNB Academy. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing because it really helps us grow as a channel. And today I want to talk a little bit about the deeper side of drum and bass. I know that some of my fans want me to go back to it as well. And I'm gonna do some deep tracks again in the future, I'm sure, when I feel like I can really invent something new with the genre. You know, if I can put something new into it that excites me about the sound design, then I will do. But I still really love the drums and the feel of deep drum and bass. So we're gonna do like a sample based structure of a groove, so you can do it in any DAW and you can kind of get the idea what gives the essence, what kind of sounds to look for, and how to combine it all. I think the most important thing is actually having the right kick and snare. So what I'd be looking for is something a bit more deep, and since we're doing that sample bass today, we're just looking through some kick samples. See, all of these are too small or too acoustic or even too big. It needs to be something in between. It shouldn't have any hats on it, for example, because if you do that mistake with samples, you're gonna have that hat hit every time with your kick. And in deep drum bass, I feel like the kick should stay more minimal and like minimally shaped, you know. And then you put all the shaping with different type of textures and hat samples. So you want your kick to be more something like that, you know, more like super simple and short. And then you can start arranging. Oh, we're on 120 for some reason. That's why. Maybe it's too tonal, this one. Or maybe something like that. Maybe a mix. But yeah, that one's cool. Just make it shorter. And then I think what it should have is a bit of a clearer transient. So we're just gonna look for another kick sample that maybe is a bit more clicky, and we're gonna combine those. This one has a transient here that might be a bit more clicky. And we're gonna try to fade that into each other. The waves align. Movest way to do this. There's a huge difference already there. Maybe that's too crazy. Yeah, you notice the difference right away. And that way the kick really comes through the mix. And what is really cool about also doing it that way, now you can put in one without the transient, for example. And you can use it as like a support kick. Or And essentially what is used a lot is very short rim shots otherwise. So let's look for a rim shot. For example, if you just like the beginning and has a reverb, for example, that's also absolutely no problem, because I kind of like the tonality of that one already. And then you just fade it. And then you already hear that from 2. And if you want to give it a bit of a body, what I really like doing is putting a little bit of a small reverb on the send here. So for example, Valhalla Room, and I set it to a very small ambience. We need a clipper on the master. Didn't have my hard drive in earlier, that's why nothing is saved in this project. And if you kind of want to enhance that attack a little bit of that snare or rim shot, you can take another more noisy snare sample, for example, and just fade that so the transients don't interact with each other, and then layer that. See the difference in power? Maybe also put it through that. See, it's too snary if we do that, so let's just put the reverb on that and leave that just as a functional layer. We want the tonality of a rim shot, but the power of kind of like a other subgenre drum and bass snare. So we get that type of grit. And with hats, I really hear a lot of rides in deep drum and bass, so that can be really cool. And there's a really cool trick for making a ride loop more interesting, in my opinion. And that is using a one shot like so. And then first of all, arranging it so they kind of go into each other. And that makes it seem like they're being played on a real drum set a bit more. So you just let them go into each other as if the reverb would go into each other. But that sounds kind of boring on its own. So what I like doing is making each hit a little bit different in volume, and maybe have the last one be like totally different in volume, and then just go like that again. And maybe switch it up a little bit. And then when I got that, you could like maybe fade them a little bit in the beginning, be a little bit smoother, turn that one up a little bit again, that one a bit different. You could also micro shift them by, for example, just going down a little bit in pitch. I don't know where the scents are right now. Ah, yeah, over there, of course. That can also give you a bit of a feeling that it's shifting a bit, as if the drummer isn't hitting it at the same exact point. So that can help shift it up and down a bit in certain parts. There's also a really cool plugin you can use. It's called Drift. That also works. And then you could put a little bit of reverb on that too. And then I really like to take out some of the tonality. nice background thing. And now we're just gonna freeze that, freeze and flatten, sorry. So we don't have that reverb going on. And then I would just go for either some noise or some actual hats to kind of make a bit of a groove. For example, take this hat here, and then we treat it in a similar way. We make individual hits. Some are shorter, some are a bit quieter, some are a little bit detuned. I don't do that with the detuning that often, so but it's just a good way of making it stand out a little bit and making each hit seem a bit different. And then just go by feeling. Maybe this one needs to be more quiet. Oh yeah, maybe like that. And then what I really like doing sometimes to add this like extra groove is to make these small little ghost hats that are much more quiet. And I hear that a lot in deep drum bass as well. Maybe this one even quieter. And then maybe take some of those out again the second time around. Maybe tame it a bit more lo-fi. And then I would probably add some sharper hi-hats on top of that to kind of put the groove along a bit. Try around with how much attack it has and stuff. And then you can decide, do you want the focus to be on the ghost hats or do you want the focus to be on the main hats? And if you want the focus to be on the ghost hats, you turn up the highs. And if you want them more in the background, you take a bit of the highs away. With a bit of that reverb. And maybe turn those down a bit and maybe add some outer pan here. Yeah. And then I would just put it in a group. And then put like a glue compression maybe on it. And also try to put the reverb on the whole drum bus if you like that. Yeah, and that's all the time we have for today. That's how I would make a deep drum bass groove just from using samples. A few tricks I use to make it more interesting and all that. Hope you like that one and see you in the next video, guys. Peace out.